a bit, but start thinking about your questions, because for the most part we're going to open this up to Q&A after JT talks with us a bit about how he got into doing what it is he's doing. So Jerry Tran,
yes.
also known as JT Tran, also known as the Asian Playboy.
That's my stage name.
Has given whole new meaning to what I understand to be the ABCs. JT is the founder, CEO, and instructor of the ABCs of Attraction. After graduating from college, and he's going to talk to us a bit about what it was he was prepared to do when he graduated from college, and relocating from the East Coast to the West Coast, JT spent 3 years trying to meet women through what he refers to as the socially acceptable route. Blind dates, happy hours, fix up with friends, to name a few.
Internet dating.
Internet dating. But after he was, speaking of internet dating, rejected from eHarmony.
Who's on eHarmony? I'm not anymore, but.
They rejected him for being too analytical and cerebral. We don't have any of those types. JT decided to choose another route, and he signed up for a boot camp to learn about the art of pickup skills and seduction. This was the beginning of a new life for JT. He started his own blog to share his experience in the dating game. He was contacted by a woman in Canada who had read his blog and believed he could help her son, who was being bullied. So I gathered this really wasn't in the dating realm, but in the bullying realm.
Well, you know, I never started this as an occupation. This is something that simply fell upon me because it was a Chinese-Canadian mother, and her son had been harassed by neo-Nazis in high school. And you know, that's like one of the failures of the dating and pickup community was how to deal with that kind of prejudice when it comes to dating and just in life. And so she flew me out there. Like literally, it's like all I wrote was like my blog and my dating stories and all my misadventures. And she's like, oh, I'll fly you out and I'll pay you. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean,
And you went and stayed for 3 days?
Yeah, for the entire weekend. Actually, it's kind of cool. Like I said, I never intended this to be a job, and
So his that began his success. And in 2005, he launched his company, the ABCs of Attraction. He now travels the world, working with other instructors to help men learn to improve their social skills and confidence, and to be successful PUAs. You know what a PUA is? The pickup artists.
Everybody familiar with the show?
Not to be confused with PIA.
Closely related, yeah.
He will teach you PUA as opposed to the other route. So please join me in welcoming JT Tran. So JT, I am intrigued by the fact that you were rejected by eHarmony. So,
yes.
So I want to try to understand how an internet dating program would reject anybody from wanting to sign on and date, and maybe you could leap from that into, in truth, how you really did
Right.
be doing what you're doing.
Well, back in the day, it's about 2003, 2004, I was trying my hand at internet dating because, as you said, I was doing the normal socially acceptable route of meeting people and meeting with failure. So I was like, okay, eHarmony. I don't know if they still do it now, but during that time you had to write like a complete essay and like survey. It was like very thorough. And so I was like, okay, this is like basically a personality test. So I was doing this and doing this and doing this. And, a day later I get this email basically saying, yeah, we cannot find a match in all the hundreds of thousands of women because you are, you think too much, you're far too analytical. I'm like, okay, that made me feel really good. So, but basically, I guess the origin story of me was I am an aerospace engineer. So who's engineering in engineering? Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Sorry, guys. Basically, I studied that, the entire rocket science, and I've worked for like Boeing and Raytheon, and I've done like NASA, Air Force. I've worked in mission control centers. I flew like spacecraft, and I tested, spacecraft payloads and satellites for these companies. And here's the thing about engineering, not to depress you or anything, but all your peers are old, or they're bitter, or they're like divorced, or they have kids. I mean, just looking around, there was like no one I could associate with. That was as young as I, and that was active and trying to meet people. And so, without that kind of, because I went from Florida to California, there was no social circle for me to depend on to meet people. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play volleyball. I'm gonna go to these mixers. I'm gonna try speed dating, and all that was failure and failure and failure. My mom tried to set me up with blind dates with these homely girls, and sorry, I'm just saying. I just remember one time she sent me down to Orange County, and she's like, okay, pick up this Vietnamese musical instrument. I'm like, okay, sure, your mom or whatever. So I go down, drive all the way down to Orange County. It's like an hour and a half. Well, I'm knocking on this woman's door. She opens like, hey, blah 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 blah. Come in. Let me grab this stuff. But come in, have a seat, make it, relax. I walk in, and there's her daughter, like sitting on the couch. I'm like, oh, mom. And I'm sitting there, and I'm having this conversation with her. Lovely girl. I mean, there's nothing wrong with her, but I was like, oh, so what do you do for fun? Like, no, I just stay at home with my mom. Like, okay, do you like to read? I'm like, no, not really. I'm like, oh, mom. So, I tried basically all that, the normal dating that you're supposed to, and just met with just complete abject failure. I kissed my first girl. Call me a late bloomer. But I kissed my first girl at the age of 20, and this was in college, where I went to Florida Institute of Technology. I remember we were on my dorm, and there was a bunch of me and my friends. We were watching this movie, and one by one, all my friends start leaving the dorm room, and this very cute, tall blonde girl just stayed. So I was like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. She just went to see the end of the movie, right? 12 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, oh my God, someone's gonna touch my penis finally. That's how I kissed my first girl. Literally, that was my first girlfriend. And then I'm sure some of you guys might relate to this, in the fact that but she chose me. She chose me. And which was cool, because I was one of the very, very few just guys on my engineering, campus to get a girlfriend. And I was pretty much the only Asian guy that had a non-Asian girlfriend. The ratio was something like 10 to 1. So I was incredibly lucky just to even lose my virginity in college. Yeah.
That's what I wish for all my students.
Us too, yeah.
Basically, that's my origin, and tried my hand, the normal stuff, worked out in California, discovered that, I just say, it's emotional and social intelligence is a higher predictor of success than your simple college education. Not that saying, there's anything wrong with college. I'm a product of college too. But simply just having good grades and having a degree doesn't mean you're going to be socially or even financially, professionally successful. Because what you don't realize when, you're in the office, there's a lot of politics that's going on. And I was just, putting my nose to the grindstone. And I got awards, financial awards. I got one time, I helped train my spacecraft team, and I got a $10,000 award, which is cool, right? Who's gonna say no to 10 grand? But there's a lot of politics and promotions were going around. Next thing I know, looking around, it's you know, as they say, there's a certain amount of discrimination, glass ceiling. There I am, like, busting my ass, and again, not to, you know, some of my best friends are white, but, like, somehow, like, all like, the like, non-white people were still at the same kind of position. And, you know, there's, like, one girl who's literally was dating the boss, and she got promoted, like, 4 levels above, like, everyone else. I mean, that kind of stuff goes on. And that's, you know, I knew I needed to, like, learn these kind of social dynamics because just working hard wasn't cutting it.